Come to the front. If you don't come to the front, I'm going to come and get you. Come to the front. Anybody sitting in the back? Look out.
To the front as you come in, and as soon as everyone is seated, we'll be able to start. So please take your seats and move to the front so we are close to you. We need to feel that closeness. This is what this meeting is about, connection, and to do that, we would like to be close. Okay, so thank you very much, and good afternoon. So we're ready now to start with the formal part of our celebration today. This is actually the opening of the IAWA conference. This special meeting at ICAO is the opening event, and Lisa Piccione, the president of IAWA, will be giving the opening address. Lisa.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon. Bienvenue à Montréal. What an extraordinary way for us to begin our time in Montreal together. Dr. Liu and everyone from ICAO, on behalf of the IAWA Board of Directors, the Advisory Board, and all of our members, thank you all so much for hosting us here today for the first IAWA ICAO Forum on Gender Equality in Aviation. This is truly an extraordinary opportunity for all of us to see ICAO and to hear from some amazing women who are industry leaders and role models for women across the world. Since 1988, IAWA has cultivated and advanced women leaders in aviation and aerospace through a global network. This forum today continues our mutual work to enhance a strong community of industry relationships and to advance women to the top positions in industry and government. Today, we also celebrate several industry firsts here at ICAO. In August of 2015, Dr. Fang Liu became the first ever woman appointed Secretary General of ICAO. Over the years, Dr. Liu has been a key leader across a wide range of aviation issues, and she's impacted every corner of the world. She's truly an inspiration to all women in aviation and aerospace. And we are so proud that Dr. Liu is a member of the IAWA Honorary Board. She personifies IAWA's mission to connect, inspire, and lead. Dr. Liu, I'd also like to note another historic moment here at ICAO and congratulate you and your colleagues for the recent success of the 39th ICAO Assembly. There were some great landmark resolutions that were approved, but I would like to draw this group's attention to three in particular. There were 3 separate resolutions addressing gender equality in aviation, including one approving the ICAO Gender Equality Program, promoting the participation of women in the global aviation sector. I encourage everyone to read the full resolutions, but let me share with you just one part of it right now. The resolution reaffirms ICAO's commitment to enhancing gender equality and the advancement of women's development by aiming to achieve an aspirational goal of 50% women, 50% men by 2030 at all professional and higher levels of employment in the global aviation sector. Dr. Liu, your work in this area is critical to us achieving our mutual goals. And we would say to you and your team, congratulations and well done. In addition to her position on our honorary board, we're also working with Dr. Liu and ICAO to attract and retain the next generation of women leaders across the industry. ICAO is a vital partner in this effort through our joint ICAO-IAWA Aviation Scholarship. Candidates who are selected for the scholarship augment their professional experience by working at ICAO for a 9-month period. And later today, you're going to meet this year's scholarship recipient, Annie Wen. There's someone else here that I would like to do a special shout out to and say special thanks to Jimena Blumenkron. Jimena has done so much work on today's program and the entire conference. But I really wanted to mention Jimena because we at IAWA are so proud of her. She was a recipient of an IAWA scholarship in 2008, and today she's a leader at ICAO. Jimena, in our opinion, is an IAWA success story. Good to see you, Jimena. So, Dr. Liu, we are grateful for you bringing all the conference delegates to ICAO for this important forum at this historic moment. We appreciate your longstanding commitment to IAWA and your support over the years. So let me conclude by, before Dr. Liu comes to the podium, I do want to tell you a little bit more about her amazing background. Prior to her appointment as Secretary General, Dr. Liu served for 8 years as Director of ICAO's Bureau of Administration and Services, where she was deeply involved with ICAO's senior management group and also participated in the high-level committee on management within the United Nations Common System. Before coming to ICAO, Dr. Liu served in the General Administration of Civil Aviation of China, where over the course of 20 years, she held the posts of Legal Counsel, Deputy Director, Director, Deputy Director General for the Department of International Affairs and Cooperation, and she was responsible for China's air transportation policy, negotiations, and regulations. During her career with the CAAC, Dr. Liu was elected chair of the aviation group at APEC. She was nominated by China to sit on the air transport regulation panel at ICAO. She also served as an expert on mediation and dispute resolution. She was the chief negotiator for the Chinese government for bilateral and multilateral air transport agreements with foreign countries. Ladies, it is indeed a pleasure to present to you Dr. Fang Liu.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for your very nice introduction and very warm words. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I welcome all of you to the IAWA ICAO Forum on Gender Equality in Aviation. This forum aims to raise awareness for gender equality and empowerment of women in the global aviation community. This special forum on gender equality has been integrated with the International Aviation Women's Association, IAWA, 28th Annual Conference, which is being held in Montreal these next few days. As the first female Secretary General of ICAO, I welcome wholeheartedly that IAWA hold its annual conference in Montreal, and I take it as a great opportunity to provide to IAWA first-hand insight into the work of ICAO, as well as the professional women who work at ICAO and at our valued partners, IATA and ACI. This afternoon, we hope to create for IAWA participants a close and personal connections with ICAO, which will remain with you for a long time and which will lead to enhanced exchanges and partnerships on gender equality in aviation going forward. I'm proud to inform you that ICAO and IAWA organizations have already enjoyed a successful partnership for many years on issues related to outreach for gender and on the development of women in aviation. Our connections and interactions are firmly established. From a technical perspective, ICAO collaborates with IAWA by providing information and technical expertise on involving developments in global civil aviation. In this connection, senior professional women from national delegations to ICAO and from the ICAO Secretariat have been regularly featured as keynote speakers or as panel members during IAWA's annual conferences and promotional and networking events. You may have already met some of these impressive ICAO professional women in past IAWA conferences and events. You will be meeting more this afternoon in our panel discussion, as well as through other events over the next 2 remaining days of the IAWA conference. As in the past, ICAO will continue to actively participate in future IAWA conferences and events, and stands to support the work of IAWA, which is completely aligned with our goals and objectives for gender equality and empowerment of women in this sector. I myself have been associated with IAWA for many years. My first professional interactions occurred prior to joining ICAO when I was working in international affairs and cooperation in aviation in China. I experienced firsthand the importance which IAWA played in connecting professional women throughout the global aviation community. Since joining ICAO, first as Director of the Bureau of Administration and Services, and now as Secretary General, I have further enhanced my professional relationship with IAWA, and I have solidified ICAO's organizational partnership with this association. At the IAWA conference in Panama in November 2013, I signed with IAWA a memorandum of understanding detailing how we will work together on providing career development opportunities for women in aviation. Through this joint initiative, an ICAO IAWA Aviation Scholarship is offered to professional women in aviation. The scholarship provides selected candidates the opportunity to contribute directly to the organization's technical work programs for a period of 9 months, while enhancing their knowledge of and experience in aviation. The aim of this ICAO IAWA initiative is to attract women to the present and future work of ICAO, and to assist in growing the talent required to meet the human capital needs of the next generation of aviation professionals for the global aviation community. ICAO and IAWA are very proud to report that 2 aviation scholarship recipients, 2 talented professional women, are currently in service with ICAO and have actively participated in the preparations for this forum. They will be formally acknowledged this afternoon. As Secretary General of ICAO, let me assure you that I'm fully committed to the advancement of women in aviation and to continuing our partnership with IAWA. It is through events like this one that professional women in aviation can meet, develop strong relationships as colleagues and as friends, to share knowledge and experiences, and to work together on issues of common interest. As women in aviation, we are an example of success. We are living proof that the world is changing, that women in aviation are making significant strides and contributions. We can all be very proud of this. Of course, we cannot rest. We have a collective obligation to assist other women, especially young girls and women, in achieving their goals and aspirations in aviation. Due to recent regional and global developments, the importance of gender equality and empowerment of women has been captured in the United Nations 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development Goals 5 on gender equality. Consequently, gender equality is at the forefront of all governments, public service entities, international organizations, academic institutions, professional associations, etc. In the aviation sector, there is a lot of work to be done to meet the objectives of gender equality for young girls and for young women at national, regional, and global levels. We need to ensure that young girls in the early stage of their schooling are made aware of the exciting career opportunities which are available in the aviation sector by encouraging them to pursue science, technology, engineering, and math courses. We need to ensure that young girls and women have the same access to technical educational and training programs that are available to young boys and men. This will enable young girls and women to pursue careers in aviation. We need to attract, educate, train, and retain women in the global aviation community and to keep encouraging more women to join the world of aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, the global aviation community is very much aware of the shortage of qualified aviation professionals. Due to projected growth in the aviation industry, we also know that there will be significant increase in the demand for qualified aviation professionals in future. This is a global issue on which all stakeholders have to work together: states, academic, and training institutions, ICAO, IATA, ACI, and international partners such as IAWA. For the next generation of aviation professionals, both men and women will be needed to meet expected human capacity needs. And therefore, what we have in front of us is a golden opportunity to raise awareness for and enhance gender equality in aviation. This is already being done in ICAO. Gender equality has been incorporated into ICAO program for next generation of aviation professionals, NGAP, as well as other ICAO outreach and capacity building programs, such as the Young Aviation Professionals Program, the ICAO IAWA Scholarship Program, which I spoke of earlier, and the enhanced ICAO internship program, which we have established with universities. Partnership among stakeholders are crucial to the success of these programs. the recent resolution on gender equality approved by ICAO 39th Assembly this month will further support ICAO to enhance collaborations and partnerships with states and other stakeholders on gender equality in aviation. This is therefore the ideal time for a global renewal, updating, and re-engineering of partnership. With this in mind, I'm very pleased to inform you that as a specific outcome of this gender forum, ICAO and IAWA have developed a joint statement in aviation on gender equality in aviation, which further strengthens our existing partnership and clarifies the future direction and focus of our shared efforts towards enhancing gender equality in aviation. The statements reflect that ICAO and IAWA will jointly endeavor to, first, intensify the promotion of gender equality and the advancement of women within the global aviation community. Second, collaborate on programs, projects, activities, meetings, networking events aimed to attract talented young professional women to the work of ICAO and of the global air transport sector. And third, to foster partnerships with relevant stakeholders within the aviation industry and academia with the aim of encouraging girls and women to pursue careers in aviation. I look forward to continue to work with IAWA for many years to come. However, we cannot do this alone, and we need all of you here today to join us in our efforts. I encourage you to be creative and to share your ideas on how progress can be made for the advancement of women in aviation. Let's be innovative. Let's all join hands and continue to work together to raise awareness for, and more importantly, to improve gender equality and women empowerment in the aviation sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liu and Lisa. We will just now allow you, will you want to take a seat? We had reserved 2 seats for Dr. Liu and Lisa in the front so that they can actually be part of the audience and be able to see us better from the podium as opposed to looking from the side. Okay, so we'll allow you a minute to reach your seat. So now they are part of you. They are very close to you. That was the goal. Okay, the next part of our program is very exciting. Dr. Liu spoke in her address the importance of introducing young girls very early in their education, introducing them to aviation, to what is available, what we can aspire to in aviation, and to encourage young girls to study sciences, math, engineering, technology. And our next presenter, Captain Shaesta Waiz, is a living example of doing exactly that. She has a very exciting project that she is leading for global STEM, and she will share this information with us. And in Lisa's speech this morning, she also mentioned that we have a lot of firsts today, and that we have one more first to celebrate. Captain Shaesta is actually the first ever female civilian pilot from Afghanistan. And we need to give her a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. How is everyone today? Good, good. Well, thank you, Iowa. Thank you, ICAO, for inviting me to be a part of this incredible conference. I first heard about Iowa about 2 years ago, and I thought to myself, with flight training, it's something that I probably couldn't afford. And then here I am 2 years later as an attendee and a speaker. So thank you, Iowa and ICAO, for having me here. Today I'd like to talk to you about a very unique program called DreamsSoar. And some of you may or may have not heard of it. Before I talk about the mission statement and just a little background about the program, I wanted to kind of share some statistics with you all that you may or may not be familiar with. All right, so the challenge. Here in the United States, well, actually, we're in Canada, I keep forgetting that, but in the United States, there are only 6% of general aviation pilots who are women within the entire general aviation sector. And general aviation, for those, which I'm sure you know, is those pilots who are not military or part of the airline industry. And with this figure, just looking back at some of the statistics that are on the Women in Aviation website, this number has not changed within the past 3 decades. It has only changed very significantly, not even bumping it up to a whole percentage. Furthermore, there's only a 0.6% of airline pilots who are women worldwide. And this number is very alarming because, again, we're not seeing a big rise in women in aviation around the world. Furthermore, there's only 450 female airline captains around the world, and this is enough to fit in a Airbus A380. And in that airplane would be all of the airline captains that we have around the world. Moving forward to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. The next slide. Just kind of looking at some statistics globally. In the UK, there's about 9% of women who are in engineering, and only 6% are registered as engineers and technicians. There are only 28% of world researchers around the world who are women, only 28% around the world. There are only 128,807 international female students who are studying STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And there was a study done in Singapore by MasterCard where they looked into the key reasons for why women in Singapore, or young girls in Singapore, were not interested in STEM, and about 30% of the girls who were a part of this study perceived that STEM was just a difficult career field to be a part of, being a woman. And in addition to that, only 19% of them thought that there was a gender bias. Next slide. So going through some of these statistics, and me being a woman in aviation, I thought to myself, I want to do something different. I want to get involved, and I want to do something that really helps women internationally to be a part of this exciting industry that we are all a part of. So earlier this year, DreamsSoar is officially a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to inspire the next generation of STEM and aviation professionals. How we intend to do this. So this is really the first phase of the program, is to host outreach events along a global flight around the world. Some of you may be familiar with the DreamsSoar flight, but earlier this year we had partnered up with ICAO, and we have been, for the past couple of months now, we've been working on organizing outreach events along the route, which you see listed here, and really providing a platform for women to come together, local women in these countries who share their successes in STEM and aviation. I realize that I can only inspire a certain demographic, and if I'm serious about inspiring the next generation, I need to get other women involved to help lead this effort with me. With our partnership with ICAO, we have been working very closely with the civil aviation authorities along with several companies around the globe on coming together, identifying an audience, recognizing women to feature in these outreach events, and also finding ways to engage with the demographic along the route. And it's been a lot of fun. I see some of the ICAO representatives that we've been working with here in the crowd, and every country is just very dynamic and different. And we're just very excited to see what the outcome of these outreach events are going to be like. Our ultimate goal for this flight around the world is to provide global scholarship opportunities. So I'd like to share a quick story with you all. Back in about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to sit on the right seat of a Hawker 400 jet and fly over Russia and Asia. I had the opportunity to do some STEM outreach events with the Flying Classroom, which is an initiative based out of Miami, Florida. And throughout this mission, I was really exposed to what aviation looked like in Russia and Asia. And in addition to that, I had a chance to connect with a lot of kids and kind of get my first taste for inspiring the next generation. This picture that you see here is of 2 girls from Indonesia and myself. This is when we landed. And at the time, I didn't think about it, but when we had landed, there was a young girl that came up to me, and she was crying. This was in Indonesia. And I looked at her, and I was startled. I thought to myself, what's wrong? You know, are you okay? And she said that she drove 45 minutes a day to go to the airport to be a janitor just so she could be around airplanes. Aviation was her passion. Her name is Rihanna. And she had never met a woman pilot before, and the fact that she saw me coming out of this airplane just really inspired her. And I thought to myself in that moment, there's something that we should be able to do for young girls who have that passion, who drive 45 minutes away to be a janitor at an airport. And I thought, how cool would it have been if there was an organization that could provide her a discovery flight? And aviation is just something that's not really promoted in Indonesia, and it was something that her parents couldn't financially support or wanted her to be in that career field. So that was a bit of the inspiration for the global scholarship opportunities that we hope to offer to students who are inspired by the DreamsSoar global flight. So just a little bit about me. I am originally from Afghanistan. My family and I fled the country during the Afghan-Soviet War back in 1987. English is actually my 3rd language. I grew up in Richmond, California, in a very underprivileged school district where I thought my future was going to be getting married at a young age and having a big family like my mom. My mom had 6 daughters, so I have 5 sisters. All girls. So I thought that was my future, and I wasn't attracted to education. I didn't read my first chapter book until I was in the 10th grade. And as far as my confidence in doing anything great in life, I mean, I just thought it would be great to own a home and have kids someday. But it wasn't until I was introduced to aviation that really sparked something in me. For the first time in my life, I had felt something that I had never felt before, and that was desire and ambition. And my exposure to aviation was actually came very later in life. I grew up terrified of flying, and it wasn't until high school, after graduating high school, that I went on my first airliner experience on Delta, where I sat in the back of the seat terrified about getting in the air and flying. And of course, the first time I flew was when my family came to the US, but I was too young at that time. But being 18 years old, sitting in the back of a Delta, what I think was a 757, I had so many mixed feelings about aviation, and I sat down in my seat, and I was just thinking in my mind, okay, when this plane takes off, it's going to launch into the sky like a rocket. I mean, I really didn't know what was about to happen. And when the airplane was airborne, I took a deep breath and I thought to myself, this is incredible. For the first time, I'm going from one part of the United States to another. And that desire and ambition was something that I had felt for the first time in 18 years of living. My father is currently in Afghanistan, and I've been working with the Civil Aviation Authority in Afghanistan on kind of some of the developments that are going on with with general aviation in my country. And Afghanistan is going to be one of the stops along the route. I'm not going to be flying the airplane, but I will be flying an airliner in and out just to kind of protect the aircraft, and so our insurance provider won't freak out either with the airplane going into Afghanistan. So that's just a little bit about me. And I'd like to introduce you the heart of this program, the Dream Team. It's a really quick video.
Part of aviation.
I felt the time that my dreams truly started to soar is when I started to take my meteorology classes.
I knew my dream soared the summer after I got my private pilot's license and I was able to fly over the beautiful Manhattan skyline.
My dream soared because of my dad. He was my first flight instructor, and because of his passion and enthusiasm, I fell in love with the industry.
I was 15 when I started flying, and to know that my dreams could be accomplished at such a young age meant the world to me.
And with that, I have done.
Hi, my name is Kim. Hi, my name is Mariah.
Howdy, my name is Blake.
Hey guys, Corrales Placentia here.
Hi, my name is Liz O'Toole.
And I'm a member of the Dream Team.
I realized my dream soared when I got into the flight program at my high school.
That moment my dream soared was when I actually got to be a part of aviation.
I felt the time that my dreams truly started to soar is when I started to take my meteorology classes.
I knew my dream soared the summer after I got my private pilot's license and I was able to fly over the beautiful Manhattan skyline.
My dream soared because of my dad. He was my first flight instructor, and because of his passion and enthusiasm, I fell in love with the industry.
I was 15 when I started flying, and to know that my dreams could be accomplished at such a young age meant the world to me.
And with that, I have done several things, such as be a radio personality here for The Wicked 102.5.
One day, I hope to become an airline captain in the future.
And it meant that the impossible was finally possible.
And at that moment, I knew that anything was possible.
Hey, and it's all because my dream soared.
All right, I wanted to show you that video. So the group of students that you just saw, they're called the Dream Team, and this is a group of students who are graduates and undergraduate students who are dedicating their everyday to build the foundation of this program. And one of the visions that I had for this program is that in order to inspire the next generation, you have to have the next generation a part of what you're trying to accomplish, to kind of steer you in the direction to make an impact. So the team that you saw there, they are our flight planners. They are our marketing folks. That video was created by one of our Dream Team members, and it's getting them to understand the importance of why we need more women in aviation and in the STEM fields, and it's also giving them an opportunity to get real life experience under their belt while being in college. So I wanted to introduce them. And we do have one of our Dream Team members here, Oriole Lee. She's from Vietnam, and she is our outreach lead. She's the one who works closely with ICAO on building these outreach events, and she's here today taking footage so we can share it with our followers on social media. The aircraft used for this mission is the Beechcraft Bonanza, the airplane that you see behind me on the presentation. It's a great airplane. It was here earlier in Montreal earlier this year for the International Women's Day. And Montreal is a stop along the route if you didn't notice it. It's the third stop going into the around the world flight, and ICAO has been paramount in making the planning and arranging for the outreach efforts when the aircraft comes here to Montreal. Some of you are thinking, how is that airplane going to fly across the oceans? And that's actually a very good question. So my co-pilot is a fuel tank, and my passenger behind me is another big fuel tank. And with these fuel tanks, I'm able to fly up to 2,800 nautical miles, which is going to be needed for especially the Pacific Ocean. And a great thing also about this partnership with ICAO is we've really worked closely with some of the meteorologists here and the flight planners, and just having discussions and coming up with systems in place to make sure that this trip is going to not only be effective reaching the next generation around the world, but also we're doing it in a very safe and smart manner. So it's a privilege as the pilot to have the resource of ICAO behind me on such a global flight around the world. Here's just a couple of our additional partners and supporters. You may or may not recognize some of the names you see up there, but without their help, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. And one of our biggest partners is the ICAO, as you see them in the middle.
World, piloted by Captain.
All right, we have one last video to show you, and then we'll conclude up.
Where have we been? Where are we going? And how are we getting there? DreamsSoar is asked these questions each day. And the thing is, we actually have answers. We don't just write a blog post or send a social media message or drop a newsletter. We act, we do. This program was built to inspire, encourage, motivate, empower, and impact the next generation of aviation and STEM professionals. Through a solo flight around the world, piloted by Captain Shaesta Waiz, the first female civilian pilot from Afghanistan, we are embarking on a most historic journey. 18 countries, 28 stops, on 5 continents, and nearly 25,000 nautical miles will be flown. Outreach events will be held all across the globe. This cannot happen without our partners, our supporters, our investors, the dream team of students, the advisory council, and the board. But we're still missing one piece. You. You can be inspired, motivated, empowered. You can help impact the next generation. We are asking you to join the DreamsSoar family because the next generation is waiting on you. Come aboard with us. Take this 90-day journey. We're looking forward to recognizing you for your support. We'll see you in the air.
You can find more information about the trip at www.dreamsoar.org, and there is a financial need for the program, but in addition to that, we are looking for women who would serve as guest speakers along the route, or just even women that we could feature on social media, because visibility is really everything. And with that, I wanted to introduce and invite Catherine Staten, who is our official legal counsel for DreamsSoar, just to share a couple of words. Catherine?
Excuse me. Sorry, just so that we can all hear, you can actually activate the button at the desk where you're sitting, and you will have a mic.
Thank
there.
You.
Okay, thank you.
Shaesta has a great vision, and if you and your company would consider supporting DreamsSoar, that would really advance women in aviation throughout the world.
Thank you, Catherine. And Catherine's the past IAWA President and our legal counsel, but thank you for your words. Thank you all for giving us the opportunity to share information about DreamsSoar, and I look forward to the conference in the next 2 days. Thank you.
Before we allow Captain Shaesta to sit down, are there any questions that you would like to direct to her attention?
Yes.
Press the button and you will get the mic.
No? Great. I was wondering how young are the students that you give presentations to? Because if you're presenting to high schools and older, my suggestion is to start at kindergarten and younger grades, because I understand gender inequality starts in the home. And young girls are not encouraged to look at STEM and to increase their awareness when they're in grade school, public school, before they get to high school, so they know what subjects to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. That's a really good point that you bring up. One thing that we noticed when we first did some of our outreach events is that we were targeting high school students, and by that time they kind of have an idea of what they want to study, so it's a little too late. Recently we've done a lot of work with in states like New York with the Girls in Aviation Day, and some work with in Miami as well. So it's going to be a mixture of students, and if you speak with some of the ICAO representatives that we've been working with, we've been trying to, of course our focus is women, but we're focusing on young kids and those who are currently in flight training, and every stop is just so dynamic, and that's something that you bring up a really good point that we're looking into as far as the audience goes, is trying to attract the young kids and also their parents too, because I know, for example, if my father would have had a son, I wouldn't be able to fly whatsoever. So getting the importance of women being able to pursue these careers, to expressing that to the parents is also very, very important. But thank you for that question. Yes.
What has the reaction been in Afghanistan to your project and what you're doing?
So, to my surprise, because I thought, well, this is not going to sit well with some of the people in Afghanistan, and my father, he's there right now, and he works in the government, so he kind of has a good consensus of what people are thinking. I did an interview in Farsi. I've actually done a couple, but I know one that I did about a year and a half ago was played in the streets of Kabul, because they have this like talk show going on. And that day, my father got at least 5 different phone calls of people congratulating him and saying, finally, there is a positive impact of Afghanistan that we can stand tall and appreciate, because everything that they've been going through had been very devastating. And we have received several emails from young girls, which makes me really happy to see that they are capable of going on the internet and writing emails, which even the literacy makes me proud, is that they write to DreamsSoar and they talk about how excited they are, that they can't believe a girl from Afghanistan is doing something like this. So we haven't received any sort of negative news. I know a lot of the Afghans in the United States have been very positive and encouraging. And when I was here for the International Women's Day, I actually, after some of the ICAO events, I went and met with some of the Afghans local here in Montreal, and they were very proud. So we're just knocking on wood that we still get a positive vibe, but anything positive worth doing, I mean, there's going to be some people who don't agree with me, but I think now more than ever, I just need to be strong for those girls that don't have a voice, or have a voice but don't have a platform to speak, to just stand tall and show them that they can do something as wild as flying around the world. That's a good question. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, Captain, and first of all, congratulations for making your dream true. I am really impressed by all the speech. I'm saying hello from Ecuador. It's my first time here. Glad to be here with everyone. But what I wanted to know is, what was the biggest challenge that you had for making this dream come true?
That's a very good question. The biggest challenge really has been sometimes we think in our head, we may have a vision or a dream, and we think about, this dream makes me feel so good, and I'm going to accomplish it. But one thing I didn't expect is setbacks. And one thing I've learned, and I've heard people talk about it, is that you're going to have setbacks in life. But working on a trip around the world, I think just the unexpected happening that sets you back. At first, initially, whenever we encountered something that either pushed the launch date or anything really, I took it really hard, and I thought to myself, this is something that we've all been working so hard. And then later, now that I think about it, some of the setbacks have really shaped us, this organization, to be stronger, to be more resilient. And so now, whenever there's a challenge ahead of us, it's not, why is this happening? It's, okay, how can we solve this? How can we move forward? And what does that is, if you have a strong purpose for why you're pursuing anything in life, that is going to get you through the really tough times, as you keep reminding yourself. But that's really the biggest thing. It wasn't just a walk in the park. It wasn't just getting up in the air and completing a flight training activity. It was challenges that we were facing that was limiting us from moving forward. And then later we realized that those challenges were there for a reason, and it only made us stronger and more independent at the end of the day.
Okay, one last question.
Yes.
Thanks very much for your presentation. It is very inspiring, Captain.
Thank you.
You're wise beyond your years. If there's any group that's going to help you, it's going to be this group, so let me help you.
Thank you.
How much money do you need? Where do we send it? And can you raise your hand if you're interested in being a part of her program or in any way assisting her, so that you can meet her at the end of the session afterwards, so she won't lose track with you. Sometimes, you know how it is with these conferences, we'll catch up later and we never do. So how much money do you need, and how can they get involved? And raise your hand if you're interested in helping her. Raise your hand if you're interested in helping her. Okay?
Wow,
So
wonderful. To answer your question, our total budget for this trip is about $249,000, and that's with the cost of gas around the world and the permits and some of the outreach events. We've raised $130,000 so far, so we have a ways to go with fundraising. And if you're interested, you can go to the website. We are a nonprofit organization, so it's tax deductible for those who live in the United States. But I'm going to be here for the next 2 days, and I'd love to meet with you all if you're interested in getting involved. And yeah, that's very exciting. Thank you. DreamsSoar.org.
DreamsSoar.org. Okay.
DreamsSoar.org. Wonderful. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Shaesta. I just want to share with you that now in my mental dictionary, I have a picture of your beautiful face under the definition of connect, inspire, and lead, because I think you're a living example of all of that. So thank you very much. Okay, now this actually leads us very beautifully into the next portion of our program for you this afternoon, where we have a distinguished list of panelists who will be sharing with you their experiences, their wisdom, and many other things. And they are led by Nancy Graham, who is our lifelong friend, family member to ICAO. She will always be with us, and we very much appreciate her for taking on this leading role. So Nancy, over to you.
Okie dokie. So you've got an hour. Hi, Aisha. Thank you for filling in. Thank you. Yes. So we've got an hour to talk to each other, and we can talk at you or we can work with you. But first of all, you need to stand up and shake it out, because we had some tea and we had some pie, and it's been like another hour. So stand up, everybody stand up, shake it out, because we're going to have a conversation. Now, all the men in the room, please stand up, and the ladies, please sit down.
Thank you.
So we're going to have a little fun. So thank you for being here. That's really sweet of you. How does it feel to be so completely outnumbered? Isn't it an odd feeling? Not so for us, just so you know. Not so for us. Okay. We're used to it. The good news for you is there's a very short line for the loo, you know, if you need to go outside. That's always the bonus for us that work in this business. So, all right, so we're going to have a little bit of fun this afternoon with the next hour. My job is at first to introduce you a little bit to ICAO. So you notice we don't make furniture. You know, you got that, right? We don't make furniture. Okay. You got the tour this afternoon? You had a good tour, a lot of beautiful artwork that's been donated. And you had tea. So let's thank ICAO, IATA, and ACI for the tea. Thank you very much. That was very sweet. Thank you. Okay. My job at the moment is to tell you a little bit about ICAO, right? Yes. Okay, so we got slides? Rock on. Okay, slide one. So what we have today is a representation of the different parts of ICAO, and I wanted to explain to you a little bit of how they fit. But first I've got to see it. So where do I see it?
There. Do have the,
where?
You have the screen?
No, it's not there.
Oh, it is there. Huh,
Yeah.
Right here. Right here. Okay. So at ICAO, we are one of a handful of specialized organizations as a part of the United Nations. And we are a place where aviation meets diplomacy. I was going to say democracy, and then I decided that's not actually accurate. It's really diplomacy. So aviation meets diplomacy at this corner. There are 191 states that are member states. We call them states. They're really countries, but we call them states here in the vernacular of ICAO. And ICAO has an assembly once every 3 years. We just had one. That's why everybody looks so exhausted here. It's a 2-week event, which is a combination of a meeting and a whirlwind of social events and a bucket of bilateral meetings that happen in the moments in between. It's quite an event. Fortunately, only every 3 years. The purpose of the assembly is to agree to the budget of the organization, which basically, just so you know, is less than one wing of one aircraft. So it's teensy-weensy. And the organization, I have to get that in there. Dr. Liu, that's my responsibility. I have to get that in there. Okay. And there are several parts of the organization, and they fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, or not. One of them is the Secretariat, and the Secretariat is sort of the engine of the organization. It's a very small number of people. You'd be surprised at how few people there are within the organization. The total of the organization is 500-ish, are we at now? 7? Ooh, okay. Around the world with all the different regional offices and headquarters. Those are funded by a combination of the states' remunerations to the organization and a number of donations that are provided through a series of voluntary funds. The ICAO is governed by the council, which is like a board of directors, except they're here all the time, and a number of them are here. This week, there are 36, I think. Still, okay. And there's probably going to be more in the future. And they're resident, most of them, and then a few more in the actual building here. So we get to have our board of directors with us all the time. The board of directors has a subgroup called the commission. And the commission is a group of technical experts that are here representing their technical disciplines and not their countries. So they're not diplomats, they're technicians, and their focus is really to help the organization put together the standards and recommended practices that aviation is supported by in a technical way. And the intention is to depoliticize, wink, wink, all of the stuff that happens before it goes to the council, wink, wink. Okay. Then the council's job is to approve or not the standards that are provided to them for eventual endorsement. So that's how the organization fits together. What you have here represented are 3 parts of the organization. So let me start first with the engine of the organization. Meet Crystal Kim. She is, I'll let her tell you about herself, but she is a technical person. And in fact, they all are, really, technical women, and just a handful of what's in the organization. Then there's Kirsten. Kirsten is on the Air Navigation Commission, so she is nominated by the United Kingdom, but she represents her discipline and her expertise on the Air Navigation Commission. And then we have a council member, and I have to just say thank you to her straight away. We had another council member, Mercy, from Kenya, who was stuck in a meeting and she couldn't get here. So the first female captain of United Arab Emirates is Captain Aisha Al-Hamili. And so she agreed to join us today to pro tem for Mercy. So she is a council member. We also have another council member, Helena, is in the room as well, so she'll be able to take your questions. Who? Oh, Anne-Marie, hi. So she's new to me. Nice to meet you. Okay. All right, so we have time today to have them do a little bit of intro for who they are and what they do. And then I've got a series of questions I can ask them. But I would suggest to you to take the time, it's your time, to ask questions that you might want to know from them, from their perspective about either aviation or about what they do in their role here at ICAO or elsewhere. So be thinking of the questions so that I don't have to ask them all. You got that? Okay. So let's start first with, Kirsten, you want to start first? Okay, all right, she's going to start first.
Okay, thank you, Nancy, and hello to everyone. So I was asked to give a little bit of background about how I ended up here at ICAO. And I grew up in Belgium, and the minute I was, from when the age I was old enough, I flew as an unaccompanied minor to the US to visit my maternal grandparents. And the minute I entered Zaventem Airport and I saw that departure board, you know, the old one that goes click, 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 as it all went down. The minute I saw that, I thought, man, this is where I'm going to end up. I knew that this was the industry for me. And when I was 9, I decided I wanted to be a pilot, which at that time was quite an unusual thing for a girl to want. And I think most people probably thought that I would eventually grow out of it. But thankfully, my parents were very encouraging, and they always instilled in me the fact that if you want something bad enough and you work hard enough at it, then you can achieve your goal. So I studied really hard at all the STEM subjects in school, and I did quite well. And I went to Embry-Riddle, which is, I think, the same university that Shaesta went to, and I got my private pilot's license. And whilst I was doing that, although I really enjoyed the theory and everything behind it, but I found that I wasn't really quite so good at the actual flying, although I did get my license and everything. But I decided then to go back to my first passion, which was the airport, and I got a degree in airport management. And whilst I was at Embry-Riddle, I had 2 internships at Philadelphia International Airport. And in fact, the first job I did when I got there was because the airport is run by municipal employees. And the day after I arrived, they all went on strike. So I ended up spending 2 weeks as a janitor. And I thought, oh my God, I'm getting a degree, and here I am being a janitor. But in fact, it was very, very interesting because it was myself and all the managers, or all the non-unionized staff who were doing this. And in those 2 weeks, I probably learned more about how an airport actually runs than I had in the previous 3 years at school. And I also got to know all the managers there. And they must have been impressed with my work ethic, because after I graduated, they gave me a job and it wasn't cleaning toilets. So I was there, and whilst I was working at Philadelphia, I was approached by the managers for both Northwest Airlines and British Airways to say, hey, why don't you come work for us? And at the time, all these jobs are part-time, so I ended up working at Northwest from 5:30 to 9:30 in the morning, and BA from 5:30 to 9:30 at night. And sometimes I would get confused what uniform I had to put on. But I ended up working for British Airways for over 15 years, and I had various roles with them, and I did flight planning and apron management, and I was a station manager in Atlanta. I went sort of up and down the East Coast doing various roles, and I eventually married an Englishman, and I ended up working at Heathrow Airport as a dispatcher for a number of years. And it was while I was doing that role that I became quite passionate about aviation safety, both flying safety, personal safety, safety management, apron safety. And I then moved into British Airways' internal auditing section, and I went around the world doing safety audits across the BA network. And the thing that I really liked about that job was the fact that because it was internal audits, it wasn't regular, being a regulator, you could actually make suggestions for improvement, etc. So I felt each time I left a place, I felt I left it a bit safer than when I got there, and I really liked that. Then after 9/11, BA, like most airlines, had some financial challenges, shall we say, and my job was reorganized, as quite often happens in big companies, and I ended up in a more administrative role, which wasn't exactly thrilling me so much. So I ended up moving to the UK Civil Aviation Authority, which is the regulator like the FAA equivalent. And for them, I worked in their aerodrome standards, and I went through a number of roles, and I ended up managing a team of about 100 people that set both the policy for UK aerodromes and air navigation service provider, and also did the oversight. Which was good, and I led the team through quite a lot. We were having a lot of organizational change during that time, and also completely changed the way we did oversight, so it was more risk-based as opposed to just tick-boxing whether people were following the rules or not. And in that, I learned a lot about project management and leading teams through change. But in the end, after I'd done that, which was all good background material, I thought really what I miss is the business of safety, connecting with safety and connecting with the international sort of community that is aviation. So I was lucky enough then to be nominated by the UK to come and serve as a commissioner on the Air Navigation Commission. And honestly, I can't tell you, I'm just constantly overwhelmed by the people that I work with, by their intelligence, by their dedication, whether it's people from the Secretariat and my fellow commissioners, the council members, and all the people from the industry and the states that work on all the panels and working groups. It's quite phenomenal. And I pinch myself sometimes. I couldn't have planned it if I tried, you know, that I'm here and it's worked out like that. So, you know, just a little bit about that. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, thank you for that. So dispatch, she said a lot of different things that she's done in her career, but dispatch is one of them that Crystal has in her background as well, which we don't hear a lot about, actually. And when I talk to young girls in aviation and young talent that are interested in aviation, I always say there's a number of different kinds of jobs that you wouldn't even think of straight away. So you don't necessarily go looking for them, but they find you. And sometimes that's the key. Just say yes. Okay, Crystal?
Good afternoon, everyone. I must say I was really, really nervous. So if you allow me, can I refer to my notes just in case I forget? Yes, I'm Crystal Gusel Kim, Technical Officer in Airspace Management and Optimization section. It already sounds so technical, right? But let me get into more detail what I do later on. It's part of the engine of the organization, like Nancy said. I'm from the Secretariat. It is a great honor and privilege for me to be here. Look at my panelists. I don't have much story like Kirsten shared with you. Look at me. I have much less years of experience than the rest of the panelists. But then I thought, okay, let's think it bright, in a bright side. I can be seen more approachable or achievable, especially for those of you who are in an early stage of career. So that was what really, really helped me to prepare for this panel discussion. The theme of discussion in this panel I heard is my path and my career path and flight path to ICAO. Before I've spoken about my career to high school students and university students many times, but never to these aviation professionals in it. So I actually looked up some YouTube video clips to see how people talk about their career, and all sounded so exciting, and it was so cool, and ups and downs and successes and failures. But my story is just so boring. But then I realized, no, there is something that I can share. My path to ICAO was very straight line. I think it's to some extent because I decided and I learned what I really want at a very early age. My story goes back to when I was 16, when I was considering what will be my further study and area of my future career. And I happened to see this beautiful video of air traffic management. And I learned about air traffic management and fell in love with this aviation profession. So I decided to go to the aviation university. Again, I'm from little town in South Korea. Society itself is very male-dominant society, and women, especially from small town, be a good mother and be no disrespect to those beautiful the jobs like teachers and doctors. And my parents and my school teachers were so opposed to my decision to go to Aviation University, but I insisted. So yes, I went to Aviation University. And my inspiration to work for ICAO was actually in the very first class in Aviation University when I learned about how aviation system really works and what ICAO really does in all that system. It really fascinated me. So everything that I did since then was all tuned for joining ICAO. Yes, at the age of 18. So I was thinking, okay, how can I get to ICAO? Was there any Korean ever who worked for ICAO? No, zero. Okay, oh my God, where do I start? Okay, ICAO is a technical body of United Nations, so I better be technical. Oh, that's good. I love air traffic management, so let's pursue to get a license to be an air traffic controller. And then I was thinking, this is United Nations. Oh my God, what do I do with my language? I couldn't speak a word of English at the age of 18. I was terrified to speak English. So, oh my God, I need language. It's United Nations, and at least I need to be able to speak 2 languages out of 6 working languages. Let's start with the English. To be a traffic controller, yes, you need a good English. So I worked day and night listening to all this live ATC, JFK, and Chicago, Ohio. Thank God, internet, it was available. So that was my music during my university years. And spend hours and hours in ATC tower to practice my ATC. Yes, I often put 2 airplanes facing each other in the airdrome. That was scary. And what else? Okay, technical language. And yes, experience working in the government. To get into aviation sector of the government, I needed a technical license, either as a controller, pilot, or engineer. And also very, very good high GPA. So I had to study hard and hard to get a best score ever to be selected to be a government official in the Republic of Korea. Yes, I had to sacrifice my personal life a little bit, less dating, less dancing, less clubbing. But well, it was clear what I really needed, so it didn't really matter to me. So that was my university life. And so I worked, all my years in university worked well, and I was lucky enough to be selected as a government official and a traffic controller for the Ministry of Transport in Korea. Ministry of Transport in Korea is a regulatory body, at the same time a traffic service provider. But they positioned me in the policy-making division, not ATC center. Maybe I practiced my English too much or I studied too much. They wanted to use me in other part of the organization. So I was really, really sad because I was getting away from my first love in ATM. But in the end, it really helped me and enabled me to gain experience and knowledge in not only technical, but also financial, legal, administrative, and managerial aspects of civil aviation. It really worked well. So during my service in the government, I was mainly involved in the development and improvement of safety oversight system, particularly in the area of air navigation services. And also, I was exposed to, I was given a lot of opportunities to be able to represent Civil Aviation Authority of Republic of Korea, which gave me an exposure and experience to not only a national level, but also regional and international level. You know, whenever you're exposed to all these different opportunities, that's how you learn. That's how you meet people, get inspired and motivated. Actually, that's when I met first time Nancy and also all the other amazing female professionals. So after 6 years of service in the government, believe it or not, I only had less than 10 days of vacation in 6 years. So that says how crazy workaholic I was. But it really paid off in the end, and I was given an opportunity to apply for ICAO much earlier than I planned. So here I am in 2009. I was able to join ICAO, first working for Ms. Nancy Graham in Air Navigation Bureau. Since then, my my roles and responsibilities has grown every year because Nancy gave me every different job. But again, I never said no. Just get it done, whatever it takes. So now I'm so happy to be back to the area, my first love, air traffic management. Now I'm working as a technical officer in the airspace management and optimization section. Everybody knows it's an ATM, but that's our official name, so I have to say it. So my job is basically to provide advice and assistance to my bosses sitting next to me, our governing bodies, Council and Air Navigation Bureau, and also the most important, my member states, and also other international organizations. And I am also serving as a secretary of the 2 technical expert groups, one called Air Traffic Management Requirements and Performance Panel. What it does is actually dream about future, how the aviation will look like, and develop all this concept of operations and develop all the requirements and tools to realize that concept. And another expert group is an operational data link panel, which deals with data communication. Can you believe we actually text between controllers and pilots, not just to talk on the radio. They do the text messages, which will become the backbone of the future aviation system. So that's what I do. Again, I'm very, very privileged to be here, and I hope my story, relatively short, could be somewhat inspiring and helpful to you. Thank you very much.
I think she did okay. What do you think? Yeah, she did all right. She did all right. Okay, so next, thank you very much, Aisha, for stepping in without any preparation. She doesn't even know really what's going on. Okay, but that's the kind of woman she is. You need some help? Sure, I'll help you out. Okay, and that is a hallmark of the way that we work as women. You need something? Sure, I'll help you out. It's just the way we work. So thank you for that. Thanks for stepping in. And if you could share a little bit about your story. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. First, great to have you back. Actually, Mercy called me literally 15 minutes ago, and she said, I'm stuck. I have an emergency. Can you go down? I'm like, what is it about? She goes like, just talk about yourself. I'm like, I'm going to talk about myself tomorrow. I can't do that today. But so Mercy is my colleague on the council. And as you know, we have 2 colleague members here. And we are actually now 6 women on the council. Sadly, we are -1. When I joined, I was the only one. And one thing probably Christine did not mention, she's the only woman in that technical body, which is for us, it's a great asset. Hopefully we will have more women in the ANC. That's what I've heard. So basically the council, so the engine, I'm assuming the airplane, pilot in command. To go or not to go? That's the question. So they do all the actual work and the real work. And what we do as a council is we decide if this is going to be gone to the member states to become a standard at the end, and we agree on it as a standard. So we are the last filter, and we are the board members of the organization. You can, as Nancy said, you can never apply for this job. Actually, I'm still. My story is funny because when I got this job, I was resigning from the organization. And when I resigned, I was actually going back to my original path, which is going back to flying. But the decision was to send me here. So I was resigning when I got this job. And the same thing with Mercy. You plan your path and you go through your career, but you don't even imagine, it's not even within your radar that there is something called ICAO or governing body or even ANC. Still people don't know what is that or what do they even do. But I started as a pilot. I started 16 years old. I was the first UAE female pilot. I always knew I was going to be a pilot. Nothing deviated me from that, except actually some, I would say, detours, but not plans. I flew the Dash 8. So all my experience was on the Dash 8. I joined the General Civil Aviation Authority by mistake. It was not a plan, because my father lobbied for me not to fly, but to be offered a better job. So I got enticed to the authority. I still think I went to the authority very early. I became an accident investigator. I got bored. I was looking for more. I got into the regulation. I got more bored. Then I got assigned to be the head of air transport. So for 3 years, I was doing bilaterals, which is, I don't know if you can imagine the size of the aviation industry in the UAE, but to get traffic rights for Emirates and Etihad Airways and to fight for them to get market access, it was a nightmare. And because they had so many countries they didn't want to give an access, and I was representing them as a UAE to increase their market access. And I have to say, for 3 years, after 3 years, I knew this is not for me. I was good at it. I did 80 bilaterals, which exhausted me, and I ended up going to submit my resignation to say, I'm done, I'm going back to flying. And they said, yes, you are flying to Montreal, because we need somebody there. And once again, I got this detour, which was not planned. My plan was to go back to the industry and continue flying. And the plan was for me to be here from 2009 to 2010 until the elections, and then they find another one. But I always say either they forgot me, or either I'm doing a good job. I like to think about the second one. So this is where I am now. I am actually, yesterday I was elected as a vice president of the council. I've been waiting for that for a long time. And I was hoping to be the first, but the first vice president was Betty from the US. So I am the first one since the 70s. So this is sad, actually, but since the 70s, I'm the second one. So Betty from the US is the first council vice president. So this is where I am. I love what I'm doing. You meet so many people. On the council, you have all kinds of people from different disciplines, from pilots to lawyers to diplomats to engineers to air traffic controllers. So the input that they put, it's always interesting because you can never know what to expect from anyone. So I have to say I miss you, Nancy, because Nancy was a ball of energy when it comes. I would say she doesn't care who is sitting in front of her. She just goes for changes, and I have to say that energy was something I miss. Well, but I love Steve Kramer. Steve Kramer is doing a great job. Is he here?
He's here.
I love you.
Thanks, Aisha. Thanks very much. Okay, look, here's how it goes from here. I was also a first here. I was the first woman director as the Air Navigation Bureau, and I started out as a torpedo mechanic. So look, you can do anything and you can go anywhere from wherever you are today. That's the point. And common in all of their individual paths is there is no one path. Your path is your path. So for all of us, I think it's common that find your passion and follow your passion. So next is a series of questions I can ask them. But before I do that, anybody out there got a question you want to ask? Okay, boring. So I'll go to my questions then. Listen, that's not going to work. Snap it up. I see one over here. Go ahead. Go ahead, hon.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I have a question for Nancy. I'm Sarah. I'm Jimena's intern. So yeah, my question is, what opportunities should organizations like this one provide or propose to retain female talent within the organization or within the industry or the aviation field?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Isn't she sweet? She's so young. Well, my view, and we'll pass this to the other panelists as well, but my view is that it's not the organization's responsibility to determine your tenure. It's yours. So I don't think any organization should have programs to retain women. They should have programs to retain talent, and so that's across the board. That's important, but I think sometimes it's important to have particular targets for improvement in certain areas, but I think we also need to think about it broadly in terms of talent. What I think is the program that you have to retain talent is just simply opportunity. It's just opportunity. That's what keeps people. And a manager's job is to try to find the apex of the individual's passion and what they do best and what the organization needs. So a lot about, not programs, but it's about management really stepping in and saying, how do I get the best out of the individual? And the best out of the individual is to find the best place for them, the best niche. And that may not be necessarily in your area. You may need to work with your colleagues. So it's about looking broadly for the organization, I think, and trying to get the best out of the talent that you have, all of it, male, female, and everything else, and making sure that their passion is really tapped. Anybody want to add to that?
Thanks, Nancy. I think like you, I've never been a big fan of sort of quota type programs, but I do think that organizations have an obligation to look internally at their culture and their working environment to make sure that it is welcoming for all kinds of people, whether it's gender or ethnicity or anything like that. So it should be within their interest to make the best of their talent, but I think there are ways that you can make sure that people from different types of backgrounds will feel comfortable in the work environment that they're doing, and to maybe consider where it's possible items of flexible working that may make it easier for some women, especially women who have children, etc., to work the job and still have a home life as well.
Yeah, and men too, more these days.
And men as well, absolutely.
In ICAO, actually, there is a gender and geographical representation, which the organization and also the council, especially when it comes to higher jobs, D1 and D2s, which is the directors and deputies, and we always look that if there are two people, man and a woman, apply to the same job with the same, let's say, qualifications and capabilities, there always have to be a preference for the woman. This is to ensure the geographical and gender representation. So there is something here. But I agree also with what Nancy said, because in this industry in particular, in a lot of the fields, there are criteria for you to enter a job and to progress into the ladder. And most of them are actually objective rather than subjective. And in my career, I've seen talented women give up, for example, their seniorities as pilots because they get pregnant and they just go to the management and this is it for them to climb the ladder. But as I grew in the international, I would say, scenery, I would have to say women are really supported. Well, from where I sit, we are supported, but the problem is we have our priorities that changes with the time.
Thank you. Okay, we got a question, please.
I'm on, okay. Hi, Nancy and Crystal, Kristen, and Aisha. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I've always been inspired by women who can share with us stories like Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In. And I was wondering if you had certain strategies that you've uncovered over the years. I agree that we can be supported. We also sometimes have obstacles on getting at the table. And if there's some things that you've learned over your careers, advice that you can give us on how to get to the table and get in front of those places where we can have access to these opportunities.
I think we probably each have our own answer to that, but I would have three things I would offer. First is never say no. When you're asked to do something, do it. It's just one more opportunity for you to show your skill set. The second is don't get your honey where you get your money. Do you understand that? Okay. I say that not only to women, but to men. So that may not translate well, but it means don't date people you work with because the women always lose. Okay? That's just the way it is. So don't get your honey where you get your money. How many times have I said that? Okay. Okay. And the third is wear comfortable shoes, for crying out loud. Enough with the 4-inch heels. Come on. Oh, wear comfortable shoes. Seriously.
Well, I don't think I can top that, but but the first thing Nancy said, I do definitely agree with. Throughout my career, I have never sort of been shy to stick my head above the parapet, when there's often been many of my colleagues that would that wouldn't want to do that. And sometimes it doesn't work so well, but it's actually opened doors for me that wouldn't have been opened had I not said, yeah, okay, I'll give that a go. And also just stay curious, stay curious and keep your eyes open about different things that are going on around you, because quite often there'll be something that sparks your interest and you'll be the first one to say, actually, I fancy having a go at that. So that's what I would say, and wear whatever shoes you want.
I fully agree with what Nancy said, except the shoes part, because I'm so small, and it's been my insecurity for the rest of my life. So I love shoes. Sorry, Nancy.
What did I tell you you couldn't do anymore when you came to ICAO? You couldn't bow.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, it took me 6 months to call Nancy from Miss Graham. Yeah. And I couldn't bow to her in her office, because where I'm from, that's my culture. I cannot call my boss by first name. Anyway, so my advice, yes, never say no, and don't be afraid of mistakes, and become a risk taker. If you don't take a risk, you don't go to the next step. And there was something else I always wanted to say. No, it's not about the shoes. I have plenty of shoes. My boss in the back seat is always teasing me about. One thing is challenge yourself all the time. Myself, people around me always telling me, you're so hard on yourself. But to me, that's the only way that I continue to grow. I don't worry. I'm not really worried about what others think. I have to be happy with my work. So that was, and last but not least, I think I save it for later. So that's it, yeah, challenge yourself.
I always planned my life strategically. So when I was in a company where I knew my seniority, for example, I will be probably waiting 4 years for me to get my captaincy, I changed right away the company. I waited actually for 1 year, prepared myself, and changed. I never wait when I know that the company or the people do not have the aptitude, either for my age or for my look or whatever, but I always have plans. I never let them, I don't let it stop. When it is no, I don't take it. I plan and move on. So nobody will take care of me, so I never give, I would say, a damn about when somebody don't want me there. I just move. Second thing, which I think helped me throughout my career, I always had angels, and I identify those angels, in another word, the mentors. And throughout my life, my first mentor was my father, and then my first captain, and then my training captain in Abu Dhabi Aviation, and then 2 or 3 people throughout my life, which I still rely on. Whenever things get hard, which they do for any person, woman, man, child, old, I always have these people that I trust. When I pick up the phone and call them, they will at least give me a wise advice for me to make up my own decision and move forward. Because I am very hyper by nature, and waiting, it drives me crazy. And the third one, I can never take no. If you tell me no, I eliminate you. That's the way it is. Because I see no as a negative energy. And if you have your fears, don't impose them. Don't say don't do it, or no, you can't do it, or don't run for it, or you are not ready, or you are young. I just move on. I need to make my own mistakes. So I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm happy about. That's why I am where I am right now. But I don't wait. That's why I am here, I guess.
More questions from the floor? Okay, please.
What do you feel the business is leaving on the table by not having enough women in the business?
What do we feel that's being left on the table by not having enough women in the business of aviation? So for me, I would turn that around and say, well, what is it that's unique that we bring as women to the workplace? And I think we're all very different. So they tend to group us in this thing called women, but like every one of us is unique, and we all bring something extraordinarily unique in terms of what we do. But across the board, I think the most important thing we have that I always say to gals that I mentor is, we have special powers. You know this. The guys know it too, don't you? They know we have special powers. We have intuition that they don't have. Now, I've met some guys that have the intuition. So there's some guys that have it. But mostly, we have it. And they know it. So I think the older you get, the more you learn to listen to that inner voice, that intuition that we have. And when you use that combined with your skill set, it really does bring a whole nother dimension to the conversation and to the way that you manage and the way you work with people. And, you know, you see things and you hear things that aren't seen by others. And the more you can cultivate that, the more I think it's really special. So that's one thing I think that's left off the table. Oftentimes you'll see women, if there's a argument going on at the table, 9 times out of 10 you'll see a woman step in to try to resolve it and to try to bring it to closure, because that's what we do. We're used to kindergartners, okay? So, you know, that's what we do. But I think that's one very special thing that we bring. You want to add to that?
Thank you, Nancy. I think, especially as we look into the future, it's been identified that our industry is going to face a shortage in very many skills, and especially as our industry is modernizing. So we can't leave anybody on the table. We have to make best use of all the talent that's available to us to make this industry continue growing a success. So from a purely sort of numbers standpoint, there's that. I think from a female-specific standpoint, what I've seen in the various companies that I work for is that groups of people tend to work best when there's a mixture of different kinds of people in the group. Even when it comes to, for example, if you're doing a risk assessment or something, if you have a bunch of like-minded people, they're going to come up with an answer because they all think the same and they're all going to validate each other. And it might be a very short meeting and a very easy one, but it might not be the best outcome. So I think from that perspective, for any group of people that work together or any organization, having a good mixture of people with different viewpoints and different backgrounds, gender, everything is only going to enhance the quality of the decisions that come from that group of people.
Thanks. Thank you. I think at the moment, yes, we outnumbered, but you should take it as an opportunity. The way I see, I'm working with like 95% with guys. But sometimes it helps. Like Nancy said, we do have what they don't have. But when you excel and when you really do what you are expected to do way beyond and above, then we can be the one who helps more women to come to a table. Because men recognize women can get things done. So we should take it as an opportunity to bring more women for the next 20 years.
Okay, this might be controversial. But soon there will not be women and men. There will be just it. So I think soon we will have just to diversify and bring everybody. And I think now with the world openness to different, I would say, specialties and different, how would I say, disciplines, there will not be gender-specific jobs. I think in the past it was more like the man is a pilot or in aviation, but now not anymore, astronauts. Now, actually my daughter the other day, I said, what do you want to be? She said, I want to be an astronaut. And I'm like, what? She goes like, and it struck me. And she said, Mommy, because it's for girls. Don't you remember Julie Payette, your friend? And I'm like, hmm? So I think soon our generation or the next generation, this will not be an issue because they will be exposed to everything equally.
Well, that actually warms my heart because we brought Julie Payette here, who was the first Canadian female astronaut here for a conference that we had some years ago. So I'm really glad that she picked that up. She probably will be an astronaut, this one. I've met this one. She will be an astronaut. Okay, question. We've got 5 minutes left. Last question? Okay, please.
Going back to the comment about us having special powers, which I really agree with. Obviously, maybe you can't give full details, but I wondered if each one of the panelists could give an example of difficult mediation you've had to handle and what you learnt from that.
Mine is a long story, so let's go for a shorter one. Yeah, if you were in a meeting and things were going really badly and you were mediating, how did you do it? How did you bring it to closure? What skill set did you use?
I think at some stage I used a bit of humor. So when I was at the CAA and you have meetings with people, I was the only woman around the table, and it was getting quite heated between two members of the meeting. And I think maybe because I was a woman, it's easier to do. But I just went in and I clapped on the table and I said, "Boys, boys," like this. You know, we're not in the 6th grade. And they sort of stopped and went, "Okay, I guess she's right." But because I did it in a bit of a humorous way, it just calmed things down. Then we had a tea break, because in England we always have to, tea solves everything. Almost, not quite. So that was probably an example of one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Me, smile. We have in Korea we have a saying: you cannot spit on the face that smiles. So yes, I often get into this very heated discussion again by males with lots of experiences. So what I do is I put up my hand and smile first, and then get into whatever argument that I put forward on the table. It really, really helped.
I always stop the meeting and see the bad boys, because you can identify them, take them aside, and let them resolve it. That's it.
I use food. Okay? All you have to do is feed them. So if it's going very badly, they say, "We need to meet tomorrow," and then I bring food. I swear, it completely changes the dynamic. You know this, right? It's another of the special powers, okay? Bring food. And then sometimes after a while, when they realize that's what's going on, then you tell them to bring the food, okay? That works even better. And the guys in the Air Navigation Bureau, they're smiling because they know that's exactly one of the weapons. So, but honestly, I think you have to find what works for you. But all of those, I think, are great ways to step in and diffuse a situation. But I think humor works really well as also. So I think we have come to the conclusion. Thank you very much for your patience and for your good sense of humor. Is Roberta here as well? Where's Roberta? She's doing a panel. Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you to Jimena and to Roberta, who organized the panel, and thank you for stepping in at the last minute, as we always do as women, right? So thank you for stepping in. Thank you for sharing your stories. Really appreciate that, and thanks for your patience.
I also want to extend a special thanks to all our panelists for sharing their stories. Sharing of stories is a very powerful way to inspire. And this, we need to remember. Professional women, together, we need to keep remembering that, to share our stories amongst ourselves and with our daughters, our nieces, the younger generation. This is where we can make a powerful impact. So thank you very much. So we're coming near the end of our program, but we have now a very important part that we want to share with you, which is also a very powerful way of sharing and of inspiring. We, IAWA and ICAO, conducted a photo contest on gender equality leading up to this forum. We wanted to do this as a joint project, and I have Jimena, who will come and share with you how it went and what the results are.
Thanks, Linda. Well, welcome everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed the beginning of our IAWA conference, the tea party, as well as the panelists. Thank you very much, everyone. Really amazing stories. Aisha, thanks for coming on the last minute, really. Well, I've been traveling since 11 p.m. last night, so I'm a little bit tired, but here I am, because we cannot stop, and keep on promoting our efforts. So ICAO and IAWA partnership has started, as Dr. Liu said in her keynote address, in 2013. We have had 2 scholarships. 3 scholarships, actually. Isabella Vassilo-Georgi from Greece. We also have here today 2 more. Meenakshi Balan from India. as well as Annie Wen. She was born in China, but she has been living here in Canada for a long time. They are going to share their story a little bit later on. I just wanted to introduce you to them. They have been really the ones that have made this a reality, so I want you to recognize them both. With regards to our photo contest, we launched this photo contest in August, 24th of August, on gender equality and the empowerment of women in aviation. We had 92 submissions from all over the world, the Americas, Middle East, Europe, Asia, and as well as Africa. We had 16 photos that were pre-selected as potential winners. And here we have today the one that was the winner of this photo contest. So I would like to ask also a round of applause for Marianne Poon from Singapore. She's here with us, and I would like to share the photo now, please. You're going to be able to see the exhibition and all the photos. Please stop by and read their stories. They are really so empowering. Please, I would like to welcome Marianne and then our two scholars to introduce themselves and listen a little bit of their stories. Thank you very much.
Hello. I've never spoken to so many people before because I speak like to engines and aircraft. So I'll be reading from my phone because I'll freak out. Yeah. So, okay. I can read now, right? Okay. Okay. Good evening, ladies and fellow aviation people. I really want to thank ICAO and IAWA for giving me this opportunity to be here in this same place with so many amazing people. Like, you all really inspire me. Like, cause I really face a lot of issues at work. So I'm here to share with you like my story. It's really an honor and privilege to be on this huge stage to share a story of a little female technician from a small country like Singapore. So this picture, you can see, this is a 2 1/8 spanner. So it's quite daunting in the hands of a female technician who is barely 5 foot tall. Shortly after passing out on her training phase, she was told that she was not allowed to go on shift work just like the others because the nights could get dangerous, you know, like with guys and one girl. So they'll be like, no, you cannot go. So she's like, being alone in an area with all men, my company, right, everybody's like guys, there's no female. So all I wanted to do, right, was to learn how to service an aircraft. I want to learn about the systems, and I really want to be like my dad and also go into investigations. So that's my dream. Yeah, but I wanted to be like my late dad lah. So it was a bit difficult because my company is like all guys. So it's like no way to go. Gosh. Yeah, so through much sheer determination, she managed to persuade her superiors to allow her to work in line maintenance, taking off night shifts. So I got into a lot of quarrels with my superiors and just talking it out. Being the first female technician to be posted to a department that carries out heavy maintenance on big components, such as engine changes in the open environment, many doubt her ability to survive in the elements, let alone carry out the maintenance work that require high torque values, while it's dealing with grease, engine oil, hazardous hydraulic fluids. You know those hydraulic fluids, purple color one, looks really nice, but it's like stings your eye. Yeah, so it's like, you know, those it's like really like, you know, you like cannot see anything when you miss. So even the allocation of my locker was an issue because there were no female lockers in the department. So they're like, where you gonna go? Then I'm like, anywhere. She's like, no, you're a female, you cannot be here. Then I'm like, okay, fine. So basically this photo is my testimony. Hoping to inspire the industry to move forward with gender equality. So why do we want to keep the door shut to the other half of the population? Just because the society deems that this industry is as male-dominated because of the rough and harsh conditions. Why rough and harsh? Because like in line maintenance when we work, is like in open. So there's rain, there's lightning, there's thunderstorms and everything. So we all get wet. I mean, like wet, like raining wet. So like, usually when for females, right, they're like, you cannot wear this uniform because when it's wet, you know, you can see everything. So I usually wear the overalls and so it's more legit. So, so now the serious thing. So beyond gender differences lies the greater values of respect and mutual understanding. It's not about proving whether women can do everything that men can do, but it's all about how one can overcome their physical limitations to thrive even in a physically demanding environment. Take, for example, breaking the torque of the aft mounting bolts of a Boeing 787 engine. It takes about 700 foot-pounds to torque the aft mount with bolt, which is near impossible task alone. Yeah, so basically, whether you're a guy or a girl, right, you cannot just break the torque alone. You need help to do it. So I don't know why they say girls are weak, but I mean, you can't do it either. So sure, right? So in my experience, adaptability is necessary to overcome the physical and mental challenges. I'm not very tall, so basically even a simple overhead switch under the aircraft belly, I couldn't even reach. So it's like it's not about me being a girl or what, it's just about my height. I'm just short, so too bad. So I'll need to push the steps or probably get the chokes and stand on it to reach so it's quite stupid looking. Like, I mean, if you're a passenger, you see this technician carrying the chokes and like flick the switch. So you're like, what's she trying to do? So basically what I'm trying to say is that people will look down on you, really. So, but you must remember that this industry is very beautiful because there's a place for everyone. Like, not everyone can fit in the wing tanks. You know those wing tanks? Okay, the wing, right, there's a circular panel. It's basically for you to go in and fix some sensors. So usually those huge guys, they cannot go in, so they cannot do the job, but I can do it. So, I mean, the point I'm trying to bring across here is like, it's really not like because you're a female you can't do it. It's just because of my physical limitations that I feel that it's a challenge lah. So I believe one that must learn to have confidence in her strengths while acknowledging her weaknesses. This industry is still very much a very closet one where the gender ratios are obviously skewed. To an outsider, it may seem like an uphill battle. This photo taken is a 2 1/8 spanner, seemingly representing a difficult task. Even more so in my hands, like, see, so small. Yeah. So, however, it's actually just to change a Boeing 747 filter change compared to engine change. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that rather it is about how one team can work cohesively with respect and without prejudice. Even I can use a big spanner. So today I'm really here in my uniform, not only to represent my country and company, but to represent that my dad is here with me today. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. You're welcome.
And now, please, Meenakshi.
Thank you, Mena. Respected Secretary General, President of IAWA, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be able to address to you all this afternoon, well, evening actually. So, gathering together professionals, individuals, organizations in itself is a great success. And more importantly, to bring together all who believe in the same cause is a level higher. It is truly sensational and inspiring to be amongst so many achievers and well-wishers in this hall. I would like to thank IAWA for organizing this conference for female professionals. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to ICAO and IAWA for creating this initiative to provide scholarships to help young women like Annie and myself and many others to come to advance their careers in the field of aviation. Thank you for selecting me. It has been great pleasure and great learning experience for me to serve at the Air Navigation Bureau at ICAO for the past 6 months. As an aerospace engineer by qualification and an aviation professional, I would like to thank everyone who has helped me become what I am today. I would like to thank my 2 supervisors, Jimena and Neil, for all their guidance and support over the past few months. Jimena, I do not see a better place to thank you enough. I'm sure the interns who have worked with you present in this hall would agree. You've been a great support to us. You've helped us learn by identifying and correcting our mistakes and at the same time appreciate and acknowledge our efforts. Thank you for being patient and understanding and for motivating the younger generation. You're a true symbol for us. I've equally learned a lot from working with Neil. Neil, I know you're not here, but you deserve an applause. You've taught me to be composed and vigilant, and I still remember my first meeting with a director who's present here, and how nervous I was. But today, I feel a lot more comfortable than I was on the very first day when I stepped into this wonderful place. Thank you. Thank you for all the encouragement. I wish 2 more people were present here to witness me speak amongst 300 aviation professionals from all around the world. A woman who encouraged me, a woman who thought, why not women? A woman who understood the importance of education and overall development despite not having a chance to have complete school. Ma, I hope you are proud of me today. As we push for gender equality, I am equally proud to have a biggest he for she member. My husband, being recently married and coming from an Indian background and society, it's been a challenge to be away. I'm sure if it weren't for his support and trust, I wouldn't be here, and I'm glad we are able to work together to break that barrier that lies ahead of us. Thank you. Thank you for believing in the fact that women can achieve and succeed. And we need more men to support women. I'm sure the 28th Annual IAWA Conference will be a platform that helps showcase the struggles, achievements, and ambitions of women in the field of aviation. I'm proud to be a part of this important discussion today and for the next 2 days. In addition to bridging the gender equality gap, the onus lies upon women to make our daughters and nieces and our female friends aware of the different opportunities that exist within the industry, as well as constantly motivate them to overcome the barriers and make them explore these opportunities. The successful women amongst us are a perfect example of what can be achieved, and they are what they are today because they believed in themselves. Let us all strive in union to impress and mentor our future generations so that their dreams become a reality. In closing, I'm confident to say that ICAO has prepared me to be a global citizen. I will henceforth begin my journey working closely with a number of you in building a positive environment for generations to come by overcoming our differences, be it gender, religion, or race, where we would all strive for the improvement of the human race. Thank you. Thank you for all your time.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to speak to you today. This is my first time in a room with so many high-profile, diverse, and motivated women in aviation. The aviation part is important because less than 10% of working aerospace engineers are women, and women represent less than 1% of airline pilots worldwide. We're all here today because we have a passion for aviation. My interest for aviation started at a young age when I told my teachers I wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up. I may not be an astronaut today, but thanks to aviation, I get a thrill from doing aerobatics in a glider or when I speed down the runway at 80 miles an hour in a small airplane. And thanks to the joy of aviation, I have picked an exciting career in aerospace engineering. I'm grateful for the Memorandum of Understanding signed between ICAO and IAWA in 2013, which is now providing me with this unique career development opportunity. I'm able to contribute directly to ICAO's technical work programs, and in less than 2 months of being here, I have already published my first web application in iStars with the help of my supervisor, Mr. Marco Marins. He's truly a great mentor, and I know I will be learning a lot more from him. Mentors are so important for young professionals like me because they lead us to opportunities we may never have heard of. As Juliana from ACI said at the beginning of the tea party, things never turn out as you expect them. I plan to keep an open mind over the next couple days as I listen to some of you speak at the panels, learn from all of your experiences, and engage in conversations about your endeavors. I look forward to discovering where my career will take me. Thank you so much, ICAO and IAWA, for providing me with this incredible opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. My goodness, we have wonderful examples of inspiring young, talented women. So we are very, very fortunate. We've come to the end of our program. I hope that it's been an enjoyable experience for you. I hope that you have connected. I hope that you have inspired. Well, we know you, the panelists, and we have been inspired. And I hope that you go forward and you continue to connect, inspire others, and also take on this leadership role, which we are champions of this leadership role. I have to share with you one last thing, and that is a description of the logo that we have for our event, with a little bit of a background and the explanation. The circle and the different colors is part of the logo that has been associated with the work done by the UN on the Sustainable Development Agenda. And ICAO has also used this for the IWAF conference that was recently held here. The image for us is very telling because the round with all the colors represents the world. It's the globe. It's all the different nationalities, all of the different cultures. So we are saying that this is the world. And aviation is in the middle, is connected. We are the connector because aviation moves people and moves cargoes. And aviation is key to all of the sustainable development goals and all of the agendas that we have going forward globally. And most importantly, the image that we have at the bottom is a woman. And what she is saying to me, and you can interpret it as you wish, but for me, she is saying, here I am ready, I am capable, and you need me. So as a memento for all of you, we have pins that you will receive on your way out. As you exit this hall, we have pins that you will be able to take with you. We invite you to please wear it proudly and use it to say the story that you wish to share. The sharing of the stories, as we talked earlier, is a very powerful tool that women can have. And so we hope that the pin will be part of your story going forward. We also have mementos for you of the photos. We could not give you copies of all of the photo submissions that were submitted, but we have made of postcards of the photo submissions, which you will be able to take with you as souvenirs as well. So please make sure that you pick up your envelope on the way out for your pin and your mementos. I have 2 more announcements and then you are free to go. We believe that, or we know that Carolina Ortiz from Ecuador has forgotten or mislaid her purse. It has been located. It is with the security desk on the way out at the lobby, so please pick up your purse. And I also understand that the participants from Iowa have bus transportation in order to return them for your next event, because I know the timing is very tight. So please make your way to the buses, and we look forward to continuing to connect with you and to dialogue and to share our experiences in the next couple of days. And we wish that the IAWA conference is a wonderful success, and we are very proud and happy to be part of it. So thank you very much, and good evening.